Hello. So I got this Cam Link 4K for a while now, a couple of weeks, and it's a Cam Link 4K. It doesn't say 4K, but it says so on the box. So it's a USB 3 in one end. It's USB 3, and you can connect this to USB 3.0, .1, .2 or whatever. You can connect it to a USB 2 port as well, but it's not recommended because of the data or the video rate, the data rate on it. At the other end there's an HDMI port, so you can basically connect anything with an HDMI connection to it. It's a pretty small device, like my fingers, same thickness, the width, 2 fingers width. And when you connect it to a computer and then connect a video source, and there's a little thing here that lights up when it has a signal, and when it doesn't, it just shuts down. And yeah, it's really recommended that you connect this to a USB 3 port, because one thing, the power delivery to it, and also the data speed. It gets a little bit warm when it's plugged in and used. It's not getting hot, but a little bit warm to the touch. So I suggest you sort of unplug it when you don't use it. And the computer specification recommendations for this is at least a 4th generation Intel CPU. It's a quad core Intel i5 at least. So it's an i5-4000 series CPU or comparable. It doesn't say anything about AMD. And the graphics card, it's need at least an NVIDIA GTX 960 or better. I have a GTX 660. It works just fine. And I also use QuickSync in OBS Studio instead of the graphics card. So it's the built-in thing in the processor. Yeah, so that's that. So if you have an old computer, let's say the 4th generation Intel was released in 2013, and that's 8 years ago when I record this video. So if you have a computer that is more than 8 years old, you're gonna have some issues with this, because I actually tried this with a Q6600 CPU, and that's from 2007, and it can show the video, but when you start to record the video, you will get a slideshow basically. So instead of frames per second, you will get seconds per frame. So yeah, every frame is shown is like several seconds sometimes. So I suggest don't get this if you have like an old computer that is older than from 2013. The issues I have with this a little bit is mostly when I actually run Linux on a different computer and record on this main desktop that I have. And sometimes I get a little bit of a crackling sound from it in the video. I don't know if it's the computer doing it or if it comes from this one. And sometimes it sounds that you have a cell phone too close to this one. Get the weird sound, but it's not that. I tried it. It's not the phone, so it must be the device or the recording. And by the way, this doesn't come with drivers. This is one of those Windows 10 UVA or UVP thing. It just plug and play, just connect to it and it works. And most people usually use this with a like a DSLR camera. They usually have an HDMI output, and they use the DSLR camera as like a webcam. I use it to connect to different computers and record stuff like that. And it doesn't come with anything, just a little short cable like this, like 4 inches long or something, like 10 centimeters. It doesn't come with any software. You can download software from Elgato, the recording software, but I don't really use it. I just use OBS Studio with it, and yeah, it works better that way. And the same thing with the different resolutions. It can only handle like 16:9 resolutions. It says on the web page. The most common ones like 1280 by 720 and stuff, up to 4K. It can record 3840 by 2160. I think it can do that in 30 FPS. And it says it can't handle 4:3 aspect ratio, but it actually can in OBS Studio. Their own recording software can't handle 4:3 resolution or aspect ratio, but OBS can. Yeah, it works also fine with the Xbox. I have a first gen Xbox 360 and you get both video and audio from it, so it's pretty nice. And yeah, cracking noise. Yeah, I have some weird issues when I use this with Linux. Elgato says it doesn't really support Linux. It's like a Windows 10 and Mac OS. But I've tried it on Linux, both connecting to USB to record with and connecting the Linux to an HDMI. On the Windows, when you connect your HDMI to the graphics card, this shows up as an audio device, both video and audio device. So I just clone the monitor that I have to this device, so it will show the same image output on both my monitor and to this device. And also in the audio settings or the preferences or whatever, it shows up as an audio device, so you can select that as well. So you get both video and audio. And on the Xbox, I think you need to sort of set it to digital output, the audio, in the settings. But that doesn't really work on Linux. When I connect it to HDMI, it sends out the image. It recognizes this as an Elgato monitor. It is a 32-inch monitor, but it doesn't show up any audio devices, so I can't really send any audio to it. It will use the internal speakers on the laptop at least. And when I try to connect to record on the Linux machine, connect it to the USB port, the device, it shows up as a device on in OBS Studio, but the screen is blank. I get nothing. It doesn't matter what I try, it's just completely blank. So I can't really use it with Linux, and I tried it on Ubuntu 2004. So yeah, no good luck with Linux on this one. So yeah, but it works fine. I recorded some stuff, and you can, if you go to my channel, you just can see a couple of videos that I made recording like installation of Ubuntu and stuff. also TrueNAS and whatever. So yeah, otherwise it's an alternative to the internal device. The latency is a little bit longer than the internal PCI Express, but it's not much of a difference. It's like, I don't know, 100 milliseconds maybe. It's barely noticeable, but I don't know. But yeah, it's a simple thing if you have a somewhat newer laptop and you want to record like other computers with it. Have the laptop as like a streaming computer or whatever, or record with. So yeah, I can recommend it. So see you later.